Hello, I'm John and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be rigging a very special character here in Toon Boom Harmony, and I'm very excited today because this is officially my first collaboration. So I need to give a massive shout out to Jazza from the YouTube channel Draw with Jazza, who has kindly agreed to allow me to rig up one of his characters for this video. You can watch the video where he drew this character turnaround, and there's a link in the description below, and you can also download the files which are currently on the screen in the description of his video. So go ahead, get them for free, and obviously then you can create your own version of Nervous Ned, who's here in front of us. So thanks Jazza, I really do appreciate it. So please do go and check out Jazza's channel and all of his wonderful videos. I've learned a huge amount from watching his stuff, so I highly recommend it. So like I said, I'm going to be rigging up this Nervous Ned character today, and this is a proper character turnaround. So I'm going to be rigging him in 3 different positions, and kind of going from there really, because most of my videos before have all been one position rigs. So I'm going to do a slightly more advanced video today showing you how to create a rig of a character in 3 positions. So there's lots to do, so let's get cracking. So this is the file that comes from Jazza. It comes free, like I said, on his video. So you can download this, and it comes with all the different layers that he created. So let's just have a quick look at it. So here's his initial sketch layer that he did, his kind of idea for the character. And then he did his lines, his guides, and then the character sketched out in 3 different positions. And then after that, he's done his final line art on top. And we're going to use this final line art today to rig up our character. Okay, so here we are in Harmony. I've got a brand new project file, and we're going to start from scratch here. So to bring in our character, I basically saved a copy of Jazza's work, but just with the line art. And I'm going to go File, Import Images, and then I'm going to select this line art version which I created earlier, which is here somewhere. So it's just the line art, and I'm going to create this based on the file names, and I'm going to convert this to a Toon Boom vector drawing and make it black and white, and this will bring it in and make it vector lines so we can edit it like just as if I'd drawn it myself, which I don't think I would be able to because I'm nowhere near as good a drawer as Jazza. So here we go, so I can control all these lines and like I would if I'd have drawn them with my own paintbrush. So now we have the character in all 3 positions on the same layer. So the first thing that I want to do is to go to the 2nd frame and create a duplicate drawing of that drawing, and then go to the 3rd one and create a duplicate drawing of that one. So now we have 3 versions of the same drawing on the same layer. And then I'm going to just go and delete all of the extra drawings because we won't need those for now, and come back to this one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to position these characters in the right place, because they're currently obviously separated, but when you're doing a turnaround you want them to be in the same position on the screen. So the first frame I'm going to make the front view, and then I'm going to have the 3/4 view and the side view. So the first one I'm going to delete all of this lot, and I'm going to then select him and move him into the middle, roughly the middle. On the 2nd drawing I'm going to keep the 3/4 view and get rid of the rest, turn on my onion skin, and then position him where I want him to be, going by the onion skin. So the red is the previous frame, the green is the next frame. So I think we'll go something around there. I'll just check. So I think you could do with coming slightly more to the left. Okay, we'll stick with that for now. And on this one we're going to use the side view or profile view, depending on what you like to call it. And again, just bring him in and then just flick through the frames just to make sure that it looks like he's turning. So that doesn't look quite right. Those 2 look good, but this one doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to bring him this way a bit. There we go, that's better. So it actually looks like he's turning, basically, without him jumping too much. Okay, so that's the basic gist. So we've now got the character in the right place on 3 separate frames. And what I'm going to do now is simply colour him in. So I've done lots of videos on how to colour and palettes. So do check out my YouTube channel if you are unsure how to do it. But basically in the palette window, always create a individual palette per character or per background. And simply click on the little plus button and create lots of colours, naming them as you go along so that you don't get confused. One of the really good things about the palettes in Harmony is the fact that if you've made a colour and you've coloured the whole character in a different view, say the skin colour, if you go and change the colour, it will automatically update on the character live in front of you. So that's one of the most amazing and helpful tools when it comes to the colours. And also you can add textured colours or textured fills as well by clicking on the little T plus symbol next to or just above the palette, and you can create your own textures in Photoshop and import them to add a bit of sort of variety and realism to your palettes if you want to. So now I'm going to skip over to the next drawing and just fill that, copy that in again. So I'll probably start with the eyelids. So now we should have our character all coloured in 3 different positions. The main thing to do now is the cutting out process, which again this takes quite a long time, but it's obviously vital to the process. And you also have to do it, unlike the other videos that I've done, where I've done it on one character. You have to cut out every single character individually, or each pose individually. So I'm going to start with the front view, and just begin cutting using the cutter tool, cutting out and moving them to different layers. So we're going to start with the head. And I'm just going to work my way through the head. Starting with the eyes. So I think the character is now broken down. So let's turn off the original drawings for a while. And now what I need to do is let's get rid of that layer. I need to go through now and clean up all of those drawings. So I always do that on the drawing layer instead, because you only get to see what you selected on. So this is the neck. So obviously the key to cutting out really is making sure that the drawings are as clean as possible, all filled in, and that if you need it, like this neck here, that you draw overlap. So obviously if you bend the head, there's some neck behind it to kind of hide the join. So always do the overlap. And the same here again with the hair. I'm just simply adding a little bit of the colour underneath the other pieces, just to kind of mask any gaps that might occur as you're animating. Again, this will need testing as you sort of test the rig later on. Right then, so we have now, well, I've now finished drawing him, cutting him out and cleaning up all the pieces. So on the first view, mind you, so I've still got 2 more views to go. But the first view is now done, so I'm just going to order them first of all, just so that everything's in the right order. So the top of the timeline is closest to the camera. So this is simply drag and drop. So I'm dragging the pieces that should be closest to the camera, like the head and the eyes and stuff, towards the top of the timeline, and obviously putting everything else, like the legs and the feet, to the bottom of the timeline to be furthest away from the camera. Nice and simple. Right, so when you've cut out the first pose, you then have to basically go on to cutting out the second pose in exactly the same way. But this time, unlike the first time when you had to create all the layers, they're also obviously already now created. So the thing you have to do now is obviously cut it out but put the same pieces onto the same layer. So for example, I'm going to take my cutter tool now and I'm going to select the head. Let's make sure that I'm actually on the drawing layer that I want to use, which is down here. select that, and now I'm going to do my Apple 8, but rather than typing in a brand new layer name, I'm going to go down now and find the head, and where is it? There. Choose that and then say OK. So now we've got the second pose all cut out, ready for cleanup. So now once again we go through the rather tedious job of cleaning up the character. One thing to note here is that when you are cleaning up the second and third or fourth or fifth poses, just to keep flicking back between the different poses to make sure that you're filling in the gaps in a similar way to the first image. Okay, so now that I've finished cutting out and cleaning up the 3/4 view, I now move on to the final view, which is the profile or side view. So once again, exactly the same process, using the cutter tool, cutting it out, and then using the auto select mode to pick the different layers to place the pieces onto, and then obviously spending the time cleaning up the different layers, getting them ready for rigging. So I will now crack on with that. Okay, yes, so I've now finished cutting out and cleaning up each of the 3 different positions, which is really good. It's taken about 3 hours, I presume, to kind of get to this place, so going well. But now we can start the rigging process, which is probably the most complicated piece, but I will try and explain as much as I can as I go along. So let's always go to the first view, and we'll start there. I'm going to go to my node view, and we can see that it's already fanned out for us. If you do need to fan it out, just click on, or organize it like this, click on display, and up here in your toolbar you can click on one of these order buttons and then click OK, and it'll order it nicely for you. Normally what I do is I create a peg for every single drawing and then add extra pegs on top of that to kind of control a group. But because we've got a character that has 3 different views, we're going to use pivots that are on the drawing layers, and the pegs are going to use the pivots that are on the drawing layer. But to do that, each peg must have a drawing underneath it. So it's going to be a bit more of a simple rig. So in this rig you won't be able to control just the upper arm or just the lower arm. When you move the upper arm, the rest of it is going to have to move with it so that the pivots stay in the right place when you switch the position. The other way you can do it is to create 3 completely separate rigs for each position of the character. That can get even more complicated. So this is going to be quite a simple rig using just a simple hierarchy. So I won't create the pegs until I actually need them. Right, so let's get on with it. So the first thing I do is create a new composite for this project, and then turn the original one into the master composite for the character. I then create a new composite and connect all the things up that are for the head, and connect that composite up to the master composite, and then group it. And then inside that we can then begin to rig the parts of the head. I always start with the eyes by making it their own composite and then grouping them and then structuring them inside the group. So this is when it gets interesting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into each of these. So let's start with the pupil first as we're doing that. And I'm down here under drawing pivot. I'm going to select apply embedded pivot on parent peg. So whatever pivot we set in the drawing, it will push it up to the parent peg. So I'm now going to create a peg for the pupil. So now whatever pivot I put on this drawing and on all the other drawings will push it to this peg. So if I take that there, if I move it, so the pivot moves with the pupil. And then because the master peg for the whole eye doesn't have a drawing connected, I just create a kind of blank drawing and then create 3 drawings on that blank drawing and then set the pivot so that as we want to control the master peg, that'll have its own pivot points, because we can't set pivot points separately on different frames when you're using a peg. So now we can control the pupil, the eye and the eyelid separately, and the whole eye including the eyebrow all at the same time. I've now added deformers to the eyebrow, and I'm now creating an envelope deformer for the eyelid. Once I'm happy with the eye and everything's working, I then start working on the second eye, doing exactly the same as the first one. So you'll see me dropping in the cutter here for the pupil, and then inverting that, of course, so that it works properly. Then adding the pegs, setting the pivot points, and then adding the deformers on the eyelid and the eyebrow. The eyebrow is a stroke, and the eyelid is an envelope deformer. And again, adding that blank drawing layer which just controls the pivot points for the master eye peg. Now I'm moving on to another part, which I think is just going to be adding the pegs for each of the other parts of the face. And I'm just creating a master peg there for the whole head. I'm now just setting the drawing to the pivot layers, and then going through and setting all the pivot points on every single drawing. And just checking it all is moving nicely with each pose. And then just creating another one of those blank drawing layers just to control the pivot for the master head peg. Now back to the main one, I'm working on the second arm now. Again, linking that to a new composite and adding it to a new group, and then working on the rig for the arm. In this case, I've decided to go for a bone deformer on the arm, and then connecting the hand to that through a kinematic output. And the sleeve is on a separate layer, so that obviously is controlled by its own peg. I then create an auto patch for the hand so that the outline disappears when the hand connects with the arm. Again, I'm just making sure that all the drawings now, all the pivots are on the drawings, and then pushing that up to the main pegs. And then just checking that everything works in the rig and all the pivots are set properly. And then when I'm happy with that, I obviously then create the rig for the other arm, doing exactly the same thing as the first one, which obviously takes a little bit less time than the first time round. Once I'm happy with the arms, I then start working on the body, and then I use a kinematic output to connect all those things that I want to move with the deformer but not be deformed by it. If you want something to be deformed by it, like the pocket, you connect the pocket directly to the deformer, not the kinematic output. So through the kinematic output, you want things like the arms and the head and that kind of thing, and the tie, but you don't want them to be deformed by them. as I rig, I always like to kind of test it out as I go. So as I do a little part, I do a little test. I like here, just testing it out, seeing if it all works the way it should do, and then there's no weird issues that stand out. And then when I'm happy with that part, I then move on to another part. So I was happy with the body, and I now move on to the legs. And again, with the legs, I'm doing a bone deformer, which is a really quick way of doing legs and arms, and attaching the feet, which also have deformers on them for when you're doing walk cycles and stuff, to those via the kinematic output. A pretty straightforward leg, making sure that the color art is on the color art layer, so that when you auto patch it over the hips, that the line art disappears. And with the deformers, I always try and match up the sort of center points where the bends are. Because the worst thing you can see is when a character clearly his joint's not in the right place. It really stands out. So always try and mirror up your joints on the arms and the legs. And then one of the final jobs is just to add a cutter for the pocket, so that when the pocket goes past the body, it's cut. I then add a line art node to make sure that the line art goes on top of the pocket. Okay, so our character Nervous Ned, I've now drawn him, I've coloured him in, I've cut him out, cleaned him up, and rigged him in the first pose, which you can see on the screen here. So the next thing to kind of just work on before we finish is basically to look at the deformers, because at the moment the deformers work really well in the front view, but if I skip to the 3/4 or profile view, you'll see that the deformers stay in the original position, which obviously doesn't work when you're trying to switch character, because if I switch to the profile view from the front, I need the deformer to work where it is, not all the way over here, for example. So there's a really easy way to solve that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the deformers for a second and focus on one at a time. So let's go for the eyebrow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the eyebrow, go to the second frame, and click on this tool up here, which on the deform toolbar, which says add new chain. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll see now it says the transformation 2. So I can use my creation tool and create a new deformer. And then you'll see now if I switch between them, the deformer moves with the eyebrow. So then if we go to the next frame, that one's behind, so there is no eye for this one. So I'll create a new chain just to get rid of it, basically. So we'll come back now, there's one on here, so I'm going to select that, view that deformer, come to the second image, create a new chain. My door's going to slam. Create a new one, and then again just create that new deformer like so. And again if we switch, that moves with it, and but this on the third one will need a new deformer because that's obviously on the face. So create a new deformer and then add it. So now we have 3 deformers on 3 different images moving with the image. So the next one is the eyelid. So let's view that one. You'll see there it's an envelope deformer. So I'm going to go to this one, create a new chain, make sure that I am on envelope mode, and then come down and create a new envelope for this picture, trying to create similar points to the one on the previous image. Right, so now if we switch that across, you'll see that that works nicely. Then we'll go to that one again. We won't need one for this image because it's not going to be seen. So I'll just go there, create a third one just to get rid of it. So now onto this one. And so the process continues. like so. So we need to go on here again, new chain, and then we will create a new one on here as well. So that's the eyelids and the eyebrows done, and they should bend and move as I need them to. Okay. So what's next? So let's have a look. So we'll go for the tie next. So we'll just create a new one on this one. And I've got one already, so let's just view that. I go to the next image and we'll create a new chain and draw that one in. Not envelope though, we want to make sure we're on automatic mode so we can draw that ourselves. Come into this one, create a new chain. And now the body. So let's just check this one again. So we're going to go there. Going to view that one. So we're going to come along, new chain. And make one. Again, you can flick between the two frames just to kind of see if your deformer is in the roughly the right place. That's handy for the body, because you want them to be roughly level and the right size, particularly on a bone joint like this. So that one's alright. And this one we need another one as well, so new chain. Obviously all the connections still work from the original rig, which is really good. So that's that done. Now we can do the arm. Now what you'll see is that now that we're getting deeper into the rig, you'll see these ones already seem to have 3 transformations, but we haven't done that yet. And this caused me a lot of problems when I was rigging this character earlier. So I've had to spend some time pondering on this. But I'll show you why that is, because what's going to happen is if you look at this chain here, so let's say arm number 1. This one is connected through to another deformer. So what we need to do, if we just break that chain for a second, it then separates it from that deformer. So now if we go back to this arm and select it, you'll see that there is now, there's one deformer, which is the first one, but there shouldn't be any more, which is not. So now we can do the chain. So if I go back in, I can add a new chain and then create the arm. Again, just flicking back to my first one, just to make sure it's roughly the same size and in the same position. And then I can go on to the next one, which obviously is the same as this arm. So let's just make sure we're on the right, we're selected. Go to this one, create new chain, and then we'll pop that in here as well. So it's a little bit higher, I reckon, so we'll just bring that up a little bit. Like so. Okay, so now we've done that, now we go back into the node view and reconnect that to the kinematic output from the body. And what we'll see now is if we select the arm and the body and turn their deformers on together, you'll see they both now move with the image. So they both have 3 separate connections, 3 separate deformers per image. Although, sorry, 3 separate deformers, 1 per image. So again, if we went to this arm here, for example, you'll see that it's connected to the to the deformers of the body. So arm number 2, we're going to go into again, just disconnect it from the rig for a second, and now we can go in and you'll see there's a first deformer, and then it's the same one. So we can go to the second image, make a new chain, etc. And again with the next one. A little bit high, just bring that one down a bit. Okay, so that arm should now be okay. Let's look at the tie. Did I do the tie? Yeah, they've done that one already. Okay, good. I mean, setup mode is not helpful. Right, so let's just have a look. So select what's next. Oh, we've got to reconnect that arm up. So let's just double check. So the body now, if we grab that and move it, all the things should still move with the body. And let's just check the other view as well. So everything is connected and still working, and also all the different images are changing with the character. Now let's have a look at the legs. So they are just one, so that's absolutely fine. But we're going to have the problem with the foot, I think, as well. So if I go to the leg, let's just view that. So select the leg, view that one only. We're going to go to the second image, create a new chain, and draw that on. And then go to the next one. Like so. And on to the other leg. So let's view that one. It's a nice chain there. So we need a new one for this one. I could do it being a little bit higher. And then onto the final leg. So that's there. So again, new chain, create that one. That's okay. Also, what I'd like to do here as well is select both legs just for a second, view both the deformers, and then when you go to here you'll see if they're similar. So the top one here, we're just going to edit so that they're the same. Something like that. Okay, so but now if we go to the foot, you'll see that it's connected to the deformer of the leg. So again, all we have to do is go into the leg groups. This is number 1. We'll start with 1. And just for a second, disconnect the foot deformer from the kinematic output of the leg. And now you'll see that if we go to here, it's just got its one original deformer. So we can go to the second one, create a new chain, and add another deformer for this image. And the same with the third one. Oh, adding a stroke rather than a bone. Okay. And then we also need to do the same then for this foot. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, reconnect the kinematic output to that foot, and then come to the second leg, disconnect the kinematic output from the foot deformer, and then we can go in, view this deformer, and then we can change these. So new chain, add a new deformer for the foot. And then the same for this one. So go in, new chain, and bring that to there, like so. So now, hopefully, they all move. All the images have their own deformer, and obviously the ones that haven't got deformers have got pivots set on the drawing layers and are pushed to the peg, rather than being on the peg going down, which is normally what happens on a rig. So let's just turn everything on, and let's just have a quick look at it as we move through the frames. Just making sure that everything is moving with the image, which I think it is. And I haven't done the neck, I don't think. So let's just do that for a second. Let's just check the neck. Oh, I've got to reconnect that foot, so forget that. So again, with the neck, I'm just going to go up to the neck and disconnect it from the body just for a second. Go to the first frame. That's our deformer there. So I want to go to the second frame and then just create those new chains for the neck. So that's that one, and then whoops, we'll go here's a new chain. Like so, and then go back, mustn't forget to reconnect it back to the kinematic output. And then again the neck now, if we just have a little play with that, you'll see bends with each pose and is obviously different for each pose as well. Right, so I think the deformers are now done. So yeah, like I said, I think that's pretty much the character finished. The last thing to do is to keyframe each pose. So what you'll see is at the moment, take this ear here for example, is if I skip to the next frame, it's not in the right position because obviously everything's set in position based on the first pose. So we just need to keyframe the character now and get all these pieces, like here the eye is in front of the nose. We need to keyframe those and make sure that everything's in the right place. So all we do for that is to create a new keyframe on each pose, like so. We can turn off the deformers for now. And what I'm going to do is just go through. So for example here, this arm needs to be behind the body, same as the other arm. Same as that one. The collar, everything is okay. Let's just check the tie is definitely in front of the pocket, which it is. Collar looks good. Everything there looks good. Okay, so we can, that's that one done. So we come to this one. So obviously the ear needs to come in front there. The nose needs to come in front of that one there. Let's have a look. So again, this arm needs to go back in space. So I'm using Alt up or down arrow, and again I'm just going to check, make sure that's in front of everything, which is clearly not at the moment. So bring it forward a little bit. There we go. That's now in front, but also the collar is now behind. So you want to bring that up and knock that forward. And this one needs to come forward, so it's in front of that collar there. Let's just double check the legs as well. Make sure that that's properly in front of everything and behind that. That looks good. And then this final pose, so this is the second leg, which obviously is in front of that one. Again, the ear needs to come forward. The nose is there or done. This is behind the tie and behind there. So yeah, so I think now after doing that simple bit of keyframing, everything is in the right position. So whatever pose we're in now, everything should be working well. Just having a little play around with the character. So what you would do now naturally is you would drag out your keyframes, so you'd leave each pose for about 10 frames, and then you'd go back in and you'd add different hands, different mouths, eye blinks, that kind of thing. And I would also rename each drawing as well, just to make sure that everything is really, really clear and easy to use. But I think apart from that, the character is pretty much done. There are a few other things which I would definitely do for this rig, which I won't do for this now, but which obviously is the case that when you've got this pose here, for example, you may want the character's arm to come in front of the body, because currently it's all hidden behind the body. But you can do that by creating a second composite and a second port in the multi-point out. If you go and view my auto patching a minion video, that shows you how to do that. But again, it's quite complicated, so I won't go into it now because this has been quite a long video as it is. But that's something that I definitely would do, so that when you're in this position, the arms can come in front of the body, but the sleeve stays behind. So go and check that out. That's another option. But I think he is done. I think he's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this video, this character rig for free. So you should find it in the description below this video. So please click on the button and you can download it for free. Obviously, please have a play with it. You can animate it. Please use it for non-commercial purposes. And if you do make a video and put it up on YouTube, please do credit myself and Jazza and put a link to our channels in your description of your video. But go and get it for free, and it should work well. Of course, if you do or don't have premium, all the deformers aren't going to work very well. Only the sort of bone deformers and stuff. If you've got a lower version, so just be aware of that. Like the envelope eyelids, they won't work. But yeah, feel free to go and do that, and have a play and see what you think. And I'd love to see what you come up with this character. So yeah, I think we're done. So yes, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the big red button. And of course, please do contact me via any of the social media links above my head as well. And if you want to watch a previous video of mine, please click on the button above my head. And of course, again, please do go and check out Jazza's channel and all of his wonderful videos. And I'll be back very soon with another video. Okay, so that's it, and bye for now.